So I stand here today and you're probably looking at me and maybe you're thinking, okay, how is she diverse? She's blonde, she's white, 5 feet tall, blue eyes, and I'm going to talk to you about diversity. A little odd. Actually, I'm going to talk to you about the mask that I wear every day, and I'm not talking about my bottle blonde. I'm talking about a different mask, the one that deserves to be assumption-free and treated kindly just like everyone else here. I was 23 years old. I had been out of college for a year and already landed jobs working on television commercials for film festival nominated indies and for a regional theater company. Things were pretty cool in my life. I was bouncing from city to city, picking up sublets here and there, and I was dreaming big. I had joined a running group and I was running 5Ks each weekend in support of a million different causes, and I was fit and happy and healthy. In the middle of July, I went back to where my parents live in Connecticut, and I ran the annual 5K in my hometown. For 4 days after that race, I had a headache. I didn't really think anything of it. I was 23, I was having a good time. On the 4th day, I was sitting in the auto repair shop getting my oil changed, and I felt the right side of my face start to sink, like when you go to the circus and you see the clown that has half a smile and half a frown. That's how I was feeling. I quickly looked into the mirror to see if I could recognize the face that had stared back at me for 23 years, and everything looked fine. It looked great. After I told my mother, and much nagging from her, which I'm very thankful for actually, she convinced me to go see a doctor. I was rushed to get an MRI. I sat in a cold office for results, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. My phone rang. An unknown number. Hello? No service. I walked out of the office into the foyer of a Health Tracks gym. Hi Kelly, can you hear me? Yes. You need to go to the hospital right away. You have a brain tumor. The next week was filled with doctor consultations, driving down to Johns Hopkins and driving up to Mass General, all with the same truth. I would need to have brain surgery within 2 months or else. The tumor was benign. It was the size of a golf ball and was engulfing my acoustic nerve. An acoustic neuroma, which is what the tumor is called, or a vestibular schwannoma, is a slow-growing tumor most common in adults in their 60s or 70s. It grows on the nerve that connects your brain to your ear, and because of its location, it grows applying pressure to both the facial nerve as well as your brainstem. In the course of my one day, my reality was changed from finding the next really cool television gig to learning that my next year would be spent in recovery. Here are some of my pre-op realities. There was a 75% chance the tumor, while being removed, would sever my facial nerve, causing paralysis to the right side of my face. There was a 90 to 100% chance that all of my hearing in my right ear would be lost. There was a 50% chance that my eyelid would not be able to close on its own. Those three were among many other possibilities that included needing a feeding tube to eat and death. Things just got serious. I would also lose one of my balance nerves, so I now have 5 instead of 6. An average human has 6 balance nerves, 2 in their eyes, 2 in the ears, and 2 in their feet, and that's what keeps us afloat. And when you experience things like vertigo, usually one of them is blocked in some way. So one of them would be removed. I would need to spend 18 weeks in physical therapy relearning how to walk without falling over. Oh, and most acoustic neuroma patients are no longer able to run, participate in yoga, or do any activity requiring balance, which is ironic because I was a gymnast. I woke up from an 11-hour surgery with a new perspective on my life. My next 3 months became learning how to walk without holding a wall, remembering to answer the phone with my left ear instead of my right, and getting used to looking at my new face. I was fortunate and only have slight paralysis in my face, but I looked different to me. I stayed positive because I had no other choice. This was my reality. And while my friends were going on dates and advancing in their careers, I spent a year living with my parents, thankfully, and learning how to literally put one foot in front of the other and climb upstairs. Okay, so enough about that. But you needed to know that story to understand the first time in my adult life that I remember being truly angry because someone had made an assumption about me. Assumptions are made all the time. I was used to the dumb blonde jokes. I was used to the, oh, she's privileged, because I came from a nice home. But the first time I really got angry was this time. I was laying down on one of the outpatient physical therapy tables, and the rest of the patients were scattered around on their own tables. There was a gentleman, probably in his 30s, who was icing his shoulder. He was loudly gabbing with other patients when he turned to me and out of left field said, "Why are you here? Did you get in a car wreck?" I looked at him and I said, "I'm sorry, what was that?" "Well, that's why girls like you are here." Girls like me? What did that mean? What kind of girl am I? Blonde, short, 23? I was so angry that I snapped back at him. "Actually, I just had brain surgery, so now I have to learn how to walk." I forced myself to not let the tears fall, and as I turned my back, I thought to myself that he must be rude and probably wasn't raised well. Wait, what did I just think? How dare I cast an assumption about the way he was raised? I just did exactly what he did to me. The only difference between the two of us was I kept my unkind words to myself. I knew nothing about this gentleman, or his past, or what prompted him to say something like that. But maybe, just maybe, he couldn't control what he said. I was ashamed of myself later that day as I did my physical therapy homework. I was to practice walking up and down aisles at the grocery store, turning my head from side to side to look for groceries on the shelves and not fall over. Sounds silly, but it was actually the hardest assignment of my life. I was mad that I had made a judgment. I was upset that I let my emotions get the better of me. I am better than that. So after 40 minutes of trying to find microwave popcorn, black beans, and peanut butter muffins, with only 2 falls, I made a promise to myself to always think before I make assumptions about other people. Unfortunately, it's in our human nature to make assumptions because we are taught to question and draw conclusions. But the step I'm asking you to take with me is when you draw those conclusions, make sure they're not judging and that you can recognize what you just did if you did judge somebody. Becoming aware of those moments will not only help to break them down. So, how am I doing today? Well, I'm great, I'm healthy, I'm still getting used to my new look, I'm running again, and I even participate in yoga. I fall a lot. I occasionally answer the phone with my right ear, and it takes a minute to realize that it's not just a bad connection. I have lost all directional hearing as I can only hear sounds coming from the left, so I spin in circles a lot to find people who are calling my name. I stay away from places that are too loud or confusing, and I dance around people when walking side by side so that they're always on my left. I wear a mask. My differences are unseen, but they're still different. I'm still self-conscious of my appearance and my scar, and defending someone because I did not hear them, but I'm working on these things and have incorporated things into my life to help me think less about me and more about others. I found ways that I can help others feel comfortable with wearing their own masks without letting them know that I know they're different. Here are some things that you can try, like I do. Don't take the first parking spot. Leave the parking spot open for those who need it more than you. Someday, you might be the one that needs that spot. Stand up on public transportation if you're able to offer someone else a seat. Not all disabilities are visible. Refrain from using language like, "What are you, deaf?" Just like you have signed the poster to not use the R word. And try to keep those assumptions, whether they're voiced or unvoiced, quiet. We are all working on different things, and it's important to be conscious of this. The more we help each other in simple ways, the more comfortable people are to remove their masks and share their own experiences. Okay, so I went through a thing. We all have things. I didn't tell you my story because I deserve special treatment, because I don't. But what I do deserve, just like everyone else in this room, is empathy and to be able to live in an assumption-free world. So we're going to take a 10-second reflection, or in the lower school we call it a 30-second think. Questions? You could ask anything and we'll get from you guys. Julia?
Sorry, but you don't have a scar that I see.
You're right. I don't have a scar because you might see me around campus most days and my hair is pulled to the side. My scar is behind my ear and it goes, they had to pull, sorry, graphic, they had to take my ear off. and it goes up on my ear and then over to the middle of my head. And I'm conscious of the part behind my ear, which is silly because it seems so small, but I know it's there. And I used to, when it first happened, I had that side of my head shaved. Pretty cool. I think I'm pretty done, but so I am conscious of it, but thank you. That's why my hair's to the side. I'm not just really trendy. Yes.
How often, or do you ever even still fall, like just walking on the
Yeah,
road?
I pretty much fall daily. Good question. Anytime that you get yourself in a situation where you would need to balance, that could be carrying something heavy on one shoulder. Your body counterbalances by using all of the 6 balance systems that you have. So I very often fall when I put something on my shoulder. When I'm climbing ladders, if either group knows this, I very often fall when I'm climbing ladders. And especially when you like go upside down, like going to tie my shoes, I usually do it next to a wall so I can just put my hand there in case I'm gonna fall over. But I'm kind of used to it. So.
My first thought is bringing to life as a teacher who also teaches like very young kids, I guess.
Good question.
And loud.
Absolutely, it does get very loud. They're pretty good about it. I've adapted really well. I feel like if someone's whispering in this ear, which the kids tend to do a lot, I always say, "Oh, I'm sorry," and I have to turn my head and let them whisper to that ear. A lot of them know that I can't hear out of that ear, but it's not one of the things that they remember because it's just not really a 7-year-old thing. They don't really remember it. So it is hard. Loud situations are hard. Echoey situations are hard. So if there were a lot of conversation going on right now and I was trying to have a conversation with Mr. Naufel, I probably wouldn't be able to hear him. I tend to avoid those social interactions because it's just, I feel rude.